I want to do an experiment with you right here. I want to show you how manifestation actually works in real time. So do this with me. Cover your eyes, or you could use this eye mask, and let's do this together. It's only going to be for a few seconds, okay? So tell me, what do you see? I could hear the sarcastic comments all the way from here. Joe, I see nothing. I just see black. Duh. That's the point. My point is the universe doesn't see. It uses your feelings and emotions, which is your frequency, energy, vibration. That is the language of the universe. So in this video, I'm going to get all sciencey with you, and we're going to go over the science behind it and also merge it with the spiritual aspects, because that's just who I am. I'm a hypnotherapist, spiritual medium. Yes, I see dead people, but yes, they're not dead. And I'm also a quantum channeler, which is really one and the same. We just channel energy from, if you want to call it, source, God, higher power. We all are doing it. We just don't even realize. Now here is my handy dandy whiteboard eraser. I figured it'll be much easier for you to understand when you could put the images with the words as a visual. It's just much easier to understand that way, at least for many it is. So let's start off with, what is an atom? Now an atom has a nucleus in the middle. And atoms, the whole entire universe is made up of matter. That is atoms and particles together. So we have the nucleus, and then we have the projection of where it can go, how it swirls. Now, this is what's shown in our science textbook, but this is not how I see them. So let me just put a little disclaimer and tell you an interesting event in my life. So in 2012, I had a very unique, interesting experience that changed my whole outlook on life and reality, and how I see the quantum world, or just our reality as it is. Now, in 2012, in December, a frequency went into my ear, and for about a few minutes. And then after that, nothing really happened. After about 6 months, I started seeing particle of atoms everywhere, and this quantum reality. So I'm going to explain in a way that I see it, of how this reality is really constructed. So the way that I see it, which is every single day since 2012, I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. The way that I see this reality is, atoms are inside. What I see is they have the nucleus, which is invisible. This is just a diagram to draw how it looks like. Now, it doesn't loop around like this, the way that it's shown, which I understand science and why it wants to depict that. But it actually is the energy from the inside shooting off like fireworks, but it goes in this direction, where it shoots off, goes this way, shoots off, goes that way, all at the same time. So it all projects itself outward, but also in this direction. So you have some of them projecting outward in this direction, and some of them going inward in this direction. So they're going, crossing each other, but never touching. This is what I see. And this atomic structure of reality, these atoms, this explosion happens every second. Now, our entire universe is made up of atoms. But the thing is, matter is in itself is 99.99999, if you want to get specific, invisible. Mind blown, how can that be? I'm looking at myself, I'm invisible. Is because everything in this universe is made up of light particles. Scientists notice that particles at their state are neutral. They only act, they only become aware of themselves once focused on our perception. Now let's talk about the brain waves. There are 5 brain waves. There are delta, theta, alpha, beta, gamma. Now each of them are very important, because that's what I work with in hypnosis. The state of mind, the conscious and unconscious state. So delta right over here is the deepest state. Now that is the unconscious, basically. That is when you're sleeping. All different layers of sleep. It could be deep, deep sleep, or just on the surface. So theta, that's the hypnotic state. That's the state that you go into light sleep, or hypnosis, or meditation, where you're just on the brim, about to fall asleep and still wake. Alpha, that's more of the conscious reality, the day-to-day stuff that you do. That's almost unconscious, but it's more the things that you just take care of. So it is conscious. It's you got to do the daily stuff. Now, beta, that's more of the problem solving. The problem solving is when you're having a conversation, when you actually have to think of where to park, what to do, the thought logical process you actually have to think about. And the last one is the gamma, and that is pure focused attention. They also call it fight or flight. And that state of focused awareness, like a bird, or a hawk, a better example is a hawk. When the hawk sees something, that's when it's super focused, super aware. So you're very connected to the other realities in that state too. So this state of the delta, the reality that you're in, is the unconscious reality. That's the other layers. And the gamma is where you're super focused, but in this reality of your surroundings. So I want to talk about now the subconscious mind, right? Which is basically from the theta state, okay, all the way into the delta. So I'm just going to do a little circle here. Now, those are your unconscious state. That is where your subconscious sits, where it belongs, where it is. So your subconscious, 95% of your subconscious runs the show every day of your life, because it is your patterns and your habits. Now, your habits create everything. From the age of birth, and I really say pre-birth, honestly, because being in the womb, you hear your environment as well. So you are affected pre-birth. But pre-birth to about age 7, you absorb everything. That's why they say kids are like sponges, because it's true. You absorb everything, every word that's spoken to you, every event, especially the impactful ones, because those are the ones that stick out the most, don't they? So the ones that didn't impact us as much still influence us in our adult life all the way until we're whatever age in this life. Everything that you take in as a child becomes you as an adult. So let's say you didn't have the best parents in the world, right? Which probably many of us didn't, right? Because everybody's flawed. We're only human, right? So perfection is not real. So let's say you got impacted by some things in your childhood that had impacted you, and you held on to it all the way throughout your life. It doesn't matter what age. That becomes your life. What you were told as a child became your truths once you accepted it. Keyword. So if your parents or guardians said, hey, the sky is purple, you would have believed that the sky is purple, even if somebody said, what are you talking about? The sky is blue. I'm looking at it. It's right there. You believe everything that is told to you, like gospel, like the Bible. You believe everything that you're told. So imagine that going onward to your adult life, still holding on to that baggage of people telling you you're not good enough, people telling you you're not smart enough, people telling you you're not skinny enough, or maybe not the opposite. It doesn't matter what is said. This is just examples. You take that onto your adult life. And then whenever you have a career, a job, a relationship, anything that you have, you're affected by it. And your response is going to be based on your triggers, based on what you believe also. So if you believe, let's say, that money is scarce, and your parents always said you got to save, 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 guess what you're going to do in the future? If you believe that was true, that's what you're going to do. The funny thing is, when people say, I don't want to become like my mom or dad. And the thing is, they end up becoming like their mom or dad, because that's the thing. Now, the beauty of it is that you could rewire your brain. The thing is, most people don't know that the things they're doing are not working. Most people don't understand or are aware, more so, are aware of their setbacks, of what's actually holding them back, and what is not serving them. Actually, most people don't know. I sure didn't know until I went to my first hypnotherapy group session, and I was blown away. I was blown away that I tapped into the things that were blocking me in relationships, in career, even other worlds. And what am I meant to do? Like, I'm a medium, sure. Do I really want to be a medium? Yes and no. It's just part of me. I'm born this way. So it was something that I had to process to understand. And I released a lot of what was holding me back. And we're not perfect. This world is not about being the perfect person, the most productive person. We all are human here. we all have laws that we're overcoming to just become better people so we could have a happier life, right? And that is the point. So my point is I love what I do because I get to do this for people. I had this gifted to me. I was able to rewire my brain and step into the career that I wanted, the life that I wanted, even though I had to actually let go of some things that were holding me back. So it's almost like a contrast to it going, I had to remove some people, places, and things from my life to bring me closer to where I am now and leading towards. So it's not an overnight thing where you go, I got my dream life. It doesn't work that way. Life doesn't work that way. It's a progression. It's a journey. So where you start on your journey is always a point. Your point starts here, today. That's your point. That's your nucleus. This is what we're going to create. So being a hypnotherapist, I'm able to guide people into rewiring their brain, but it's not just that. I'm also a spiritual medium. So let me just explain. Ever since I was a child, I was able to see ghosts, spirits. I could feel them. I could smell them. They used to touch me. They, still do all the time. It was a little bit actually less when I was a child, and as I got older, it just became more. So I never wanted to be a medium, and I resisted that for a very long time, even though I told friends, I predicted things, but it was never in my mind, like my life path. But it came to a point in my life when I was doing hypnosis sessions for my clients that I always get a loved one who comes in or a pet, and I just couldn't deny it anymore. So I had combined the two of what I truly love, which is my hypnotherapy and my mediumship. So it's not an obligation to get a mediumship session with me. If somebody is not wanting it, no problem. We won't even go there. But if somebody's open and maybe wants a message from somebody, I'm happy to go down that route and do a combo. So sometimes when the client asks to be connected with a certain person, they do come in, but not always. Most of the time they do, many people. So, but usually it comes in where a certain spirit comes in where they weren't expecting it. It was a message that they needed to give to somebody. It was super important that they come in with the strongest message rather than, let's say, the person actually wanted to talk to. So I wanted to mention that mediumship and just the way that I work, because the quantum world, just have like a heart-to-heart talk. The quantum world, when you're a medium and you see ghosts and spirits and you hear them get messages, and the point is it's confirmed, you have the proof, that's when this whole reality is mind-blowing for you. You will never look at life the same, period. So the first time that I had my experience as a medium, when I was a child, I predicted my grandma's death. And I predicted her death a year in advance ahead. Before then, she was the healthiest. There was nothing wrong with her. She was going to work. She was in her 60s. I think she hit 60 when she passed. But anyways, point being is, I predicted to the hour of her passing. Especially the week before, I had the spirit came in very strong, and she had passed away. And even so, the time in Poland where she passed away was the time that I said, but I had to convert the time, right? So it was all on point. And that scared me. I gotta say, that scared me because I didn't understand, how can somebody know this information? Like, predicting and knowing things can be scary as a child, because back in the day where I grew up, we only had AOL, okay? AOL, the old signals, do 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 do, beep 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 beep, nothing. There's no like YouTubes where you could check out videos, or ask Siri, hey Siri, why am I seeing ghosts and what's going on? Help me explain this to me. We didn't have that. The only thing that we had is the public library, which I went to a lot. I could imagine. My favorite, this is like a little fun fact, we're going off tangent. I might keep this in, or I might just end up taking it out, but it's just a little get to know me fun fact, I guess. I used to go to the library all the time. I only lived there a few blocks away, and they had like the limit of like 15 books. I think at the time was 15. I maxed it out. I was walking out of the library with like a stack of books I could even barely see, you know what I mean? It was because I just love to absorb the knowledge, the information, the understanding of life, because I was searching for answers, searching for why Am I seeing, the other realities that other people aren't? I didn't understand. And still would love more proof in that, or why certain people see the spirits, hear the spirits, feel whatever sensation you want to say, the extra perceptions, sensory perceptions that we have. Why do some have it and stronger and others don't? I want to know. Is it because of our soul incarnation, our past lives, soul evolution? Is it something that I've learned in my previous lives? It's something that I'm still wanting to know, and through my hypnosis sessions I have gotten more guidance and in my dreams, but it's never the concrete proof, like the physical tangible proof that we have. Like, here you go, here's a book that explains everything. The intuition, the invisible world, that's something that is experienced on an individual basis. Like me, I'm seeing all this really out there unique stuff that I can't prove to anybody until we get more scientific devices. I know they have like EMFs, other tools that you could use, but science has not gotten there yet, but it's closer. And once we do, then this invisible world is going to become more visible to all of us. What I see, everybody could see. The only thing that's holding us back really is fear of the unknown. When I was talking to some friends and some clients, and I know some clients who are very intuitive, and I said, hey, like, you're super intuitive, like, you have the ability to see what I see. You know what they told me? They said, I don't want to, I'm afraid. So the thing is, the unknown, when I was a kid, I was afraid, but now I have fear, zero fear of ghosts, spirits, the invisible world, because I processed it. I understand it better. There's still questions, don't get me wrong. For sure, there's a lot of questions, but there's no fear behind it. The things that we don't know, those are the things that we fear. I give an example. When it comes to breaking fears, I was afraid of heights for the longest times. So you know what I did? I went skydiving. That's right, knife proof. And I actually will make a video, which I already have planned to post up a video of me skydiving with, the actual skydiving video that you can get in a little package deal. So the way that I got over my fear is to literally face my fear head on by skydiving. I mean, it initially started with a dare by my ex, but the thing is, once I did it, the fear was gone. Don't get me wrong, when I still did anything with heights, like I was hiking, I love hiking mountains in the Grand Canyon, I did get vertigo looking down. I still have that, but regardless, I still do it. I still go. It doesn't stop me. So fear stops a lot of people, and that's something that hypnosis for sure has helped me and helped so many clients. Now, some of the things that hypnosis, which is really just subconscious programming, I think maybe people are more inclined to hear, hey, subconscious reprogramming or subconscious mindset shift rather than actual title of hypnotherapist, because they think it's some woo-woo airy-fairy stuff, or they're going to cluck like a chicken, but it's not that at all. It is going to be, and mark my words, the biggest healing modality to mankind from this point onward is going to be subconscious reprogramming. Now, that's going to be the hottest thing since meditation. I would say since sliced bread, right? Reprogramming the subconscious mind, the way that I work. So I can only speak for myself because I've been to other hypnotherapists and talk, therapy coaches, all different kinds. But the way that I work is I first go into the core events of each individual. For example, let's say one of my clients had ones where she's, feels blocked with finding the love of her life or having it at all. I go to the root core of the issue, right? That's where it starts from, like anything. When I go to the core wound, she has more clarity on the situation. Number one, where it stemmed from. So there's like, an awareness. I get it. Most likely it's from parents. Not always, though. I've had clients where it actually came from the teachers or other relative members, or actually some I had where they created in their own minds. So it had nothing to do with their parents, teachers, or other things. It was themselves. They had created it. So when you get to the root core of your issue, get clarity on where it's coming from, and then get better understanding or grasp of why a certain person did this or why this event had, I would say, happened. But you get a better understanding of all the components. What I like to think of when I do my sessions is I extract the individual and I put them in the perspective of like a bird flying, higher perspective. So I literally extract them from their own consciousness into a higher perspective to get a bird's eye view of their events, especially the ones that impacted them, because that's the point, right? So when they have this bird's eye view perspective on their situation, that's when they get the clarity. That's when they get the better understanding of what steps to take to move forward or release. The next thing that I do in my sessions, because I'm spiritual medium, and I'm very sensitive to the quantum world, I could feel another person's energy within my field of presence, but they don't have to be next to me. Once I'm contacted with somebody of any distance, I actually feel if they have any ailments on their body onto mine. Sometimes I feel thoughts, I feel emotions, and that's just being an empath, right? I know it's like such a common thing to say, like, oh, you're an empath. Some souls are just more highly sensitive beings. Why? I don't know. Soul's evolution, maybe? So being a highly sensitive empath, and I know there's tons of you out there, okay, like this, that could feel energies, and like I said, not in your own presence. It could be thousands of miles away. Who knows? It could be another planet. I don't know. But so what happens in a session is once we convert and understand that event, then I ask the client to scan their body. Because the thing is, our bodies are our universes, right? So your organs have their own frequency. There's an all individual frequency in the body. It's your own universe. Now, each emotion has a frequency too, because words are frequencies. Thoughts are frequencies. And each thought that is heavy actually weighs heavy in the body and creates disruption and misalignment. Thus, it can lead to diseases when it's there for a long time. So when I scan the body with the client together, this is a virtual session that we do. They're in their location, I'm in mine. So they're in the comfort of their own home, and so am I. And it's just as effective. So when they scan their body, let's say, I'll give you an example. It goes to maybe they had a heartbreak. Well, can you guess where heartbreaks go? To the heart. So let's say we scan the body and the client said, I feel like a lot of heaviness in my heart. And I literally talk to the organ. I go 3, 2, 1, and we talk to the organ. You might think it's silly, but you know what? The point is it's effective and it works. So you could think it's silly all day long. But the thing is, it works. And I have testimonials for my clients on my website. There's tons of video ones. There's written ones. So I know that it works. And I also do the follow-up every few weeks, every few months. So back to the scanning of the body. Now, the heart. When they say they have heaviness in their heart, then we can go back to that event that had caused it and get a better understanding, and then we release it. And when it's released, I use different modalities and techniques that I do, but when it's released and certain method that I do, they could actually feel it real time. You ask them, how are they feeling? And they say in real time they actually felt the relief or the pain going away. I know there was a client that I had that had sciatica, right? Another example. So the client had back spinal pain, right? All the way into the bottom spinal cord, right? That's sciatica. That's where the pain started and was. So we scanned the body. She went to her spine. I had released that energy, and the sciatica was gone. And it's even in, when you want to watch the testimonials, it's on there, on the video testimonials. So, the mind is so powerful. We could heal anything in our lives. We all have impactful moments in our lives, okay? Every single one of us. You're not alone. I had tons of experiences that weighed heavy in my heart, organs, different parts, and I learned through hypnosis and other modalities too. Not just hypnosis, but through meditation and just connecting with nature and just finding my joys in life. But the most that I found is gratitude. Having gratitude for not the impactful events. It's not that, because I've realized that the impactful events are the ones that had changed me the most. But I didn't realize the effects of how strong it made me, and it helped me see myself much better, how strong I can be to overcome that. I believe in you. We all go through so many things, and I believe that you can overcome anything as I have. And just a little side note, I died almost 6 times, and that's another video altogether. 6 times, and I'm still here. Yeah, I'm not a ghost. I don't think so. I'm as real as I could imagine, right? So, I mean, this is just a dream after all. But knowing that most likely, if you're watching this video, you went through a whole lot in your life. And just based on that, I want to give you a gift. Free gift, no strings attached. How to create your dream life. Now, this, I would say, short, few questions that you just answers what it is you truly want. Because the thing is, do you know that most people don't actually know what they really want? They might have an idea of it, but once you put it on paper and you look at it on a daily, repeat it to yourself, it doesn't have to be a novel. It could just be a few sentences. Then that's when you start attracting it into your life. If you want to create your dream life, then I recommend getting the PDF, and either you could print it out or you could just write it on your phone, write in your phone on the app, the writing app that's right there, and just write down the few questions that are on there. And every day, right when you wake up and right before you go to bed, look at this and read it to yourself in your mind, out loud, whatever you want to do. Because the thing is, understand that you are an energy being. We are electromagnetic beings. We attract to us, like magnets, everything that we think and feel. And thus, that creates our reality, regardless if it's good or bad. Listen, there's no judgment in the universe. The universe has zero judgment. Really. In the end, you know that you'll just be judging yourself. After all said and done, and this is all over, this experience, this life experience that you're going to be completed one day, it's just going to be an experience that you're going to judge yourself from a higher perspective. There's no heaven or hell. You create it. You judge yourself from a much higher perspective. Not from the avatar body that you have, that we're sitting here in this avatar body. No, it's from the God perspective of looking at yourself, and it's not judging it. It's just looking at it from an evolutionary standpoint of how can you become a better soul. So it's more aligned with universal energies. So it's not a better or worse. Perfection doesn't exist. The only perfection that exists is in nature. Nature is pure perfection. And you are made just the way you're meant to be, not a freckle out of place. Generally, I mean this, because for the longest time, I felt out of place being me, being my own, I wouldn't use the word weird anymore, unique soul. I felt very out of place being in this reality. I didn't understand. It was confusing. Don't get me wrong. Still kind of is sometimes, because there's all these new things that I have to process in this quantum world, these experiences that I have, like I'm sure all of you. So I just want to leave you off with one last thing. I just want to remind you that you are exactly where you need to be on your journey. So be kind to yourself as I am to myself. I know that you want to be at a certain place, or maybe a certain relationship, or whatever the case is, or career, or life in general. We all long for something else outside of our current space. Everybody's longing to be somewhere, or with somebody, or a state of mind, a state of being. But let's appreciate the now, because the now, the gratitude is what's going to get you to the then. And the then is always going to come. Every second, look, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Every second, the now is going by. So you'll get to where you need to get to, as long as you still appreciate the now, because time is going to pass you by. Okay? It's not going to pass you by. So enjoy the present moment, because one day you're just going to be looking back at this present moment. So every day appreciate your journey, regardless of what happens, honestly. Regardless. I know easier said than done because I've been there, but so if nobody told you, I just want to say a few things to you. I love you, I appreciate you and you matter. Your difference makes a huge difference in this world. Why I say that is because every single soul is needed in this world. So whether you feel like you're a turtle and moving super slow in your manifestations, or you're a cheetah and you can just boop, 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 manifest, I was there too. I manifested left and right. And there was times where it was at a stop or very slow and just trickling down. And now I understand why. Because we all have lessons. And the thing is, when you have the blockages in your life from an impactful event, that manifestation, that flow of life is blocked. And it's not that it's not going to come. You could literally unblock it like this. And one of the best ways is hypnosis, hypnotherapy, subconscious programming. And you don't even have to go to me to get the hypnosis. There's tons of people out there. I recommend it because it's so powerful. Mark my words. It is going to be the biggest healing modality known to man from our lifetimes here and onward. If you got to this video this long, I want to thank you for being here and listening to me. And don't forget, I love you, you're enough, and you're exactly where you need to be.